Hey, I'm Julissa. I'm a STOTT certified Pilates teacher. I teach mat and reformer. I'm taking Cadillac chair and barrels this spring, and so in the summer I'll take my level 1 certification. Essentially, I have to take the mat and reformer exam all over again. And today we're going to talk about your practical exam, what you can do to be ready for it, some things to expect, and how to not stress. I think it's totally natural to be nervous, and it's ridiculous to say don't be nervous, because being nervous is a sign that you're invested and you want to do well. So my experience is STOTT is not a diploma factory. You're not going to just give them your money and end up with a certification in the end. So you need to be serious about your training if this is the path that you're gonna go. I do not want to be in an overnight certification style program. I want to be held accountable for the knowledge that I should have to be a good instructor and be moving bodies in a way that's safe, sustainable, and well thought out. So that's, in short, what led me to choose STOTT as my certifying program. And so far, so good. I'm happy that I did. I don't have any regrets. So as far as your exam goes, you have been doing your practice teaching, you have been observing, you have been doing your physical review, which means going through the repertoire with your own body. All of those things are going to make you incredibly prepared for this exam. So when you're doing your practice, whether you're doing it on your own with your own body or you're with clients, make sure that you're using the last page in your books. So I'm holding the mat work book right now. And so on page 125 is your workout chart. Okay, so you are expected to know the order of the exercises in this sequence. And if you were to step out of line from this sequence in your practical, you would need to be able to articulate to your proctor why you've done so. And I went through based on some advice from one of my classmates, and I put the page numbers next to each one so that I can quickly flop over to the book, because I'm like, all right, yeah, we're gonna do this. Then I don't really remember that one. Let me open it up and give a refresher. Okay, cool. And that's been really helpful for me. So do that. It's really helpful. And so then for Essential Reformer, it's page 103 in your book. And for Intermediate Reformer, it's page 157. So you should know the sequence of those exercises. Fun fact, you are able to, if your studio, which they do, because I think they're required to have them, the huge wall charts that show the mat work and the reformer work, you're welcome to actually have those to reference during your practical exam. I was a practice body. I highly recommend doing that if you get the opportunity. It really calms your nerves to see somebody just as nervous as you're gonna be go through the exam and survive. Plus it really demystifies a lot of it. It shows you through and through what to expect. And it's not required. Like, can you pass without it? Like, yeah, of course. But I think if you have the chance, definitely take the time to do it. Because it just, I think for everybody that I know that's done it, it puts them at ease. It helps them feel like, okay, I do have this. The pages that I just showed you in your books, I actually went through and I photocopied each one, and then I cut out each exercise. So I've got Intermediate Reformer, Essential Reformer, and Intermediate mat work. I didn't bother with Essential mat work because essentially, if you know your intermediate sequence, you know your essential sequence. There's only like a couple exercises they take out. How do I use these? What's the point of this? So if I were to open up this bag of Essential Reformer exercises and dump it out on the ground, or a table, we're not heathens, I need to be able to put each of these tiny little strips back in sequential order the way that they were on that paper before I printed it out. Okay, so that's a nice little test for yourself of like, do I know the order of these exercises? And if you've been practicing them in that way, it's going to be like muscle memory. So it will become easy. And then here's another thing that I found useful was if you just like open it up, reach in, take one out, pull it out, can I articulate what is the starting position? What are the target muscles? What is the focus of this movement? What's the choreography? What's the breath work? Boom. Can I do that with every single one of these? And like the ones that you know, cool. Like you know them. So don't spend time quizzing yourself on the ones that you know, because like what a waste of time. So you can take the pile and, you know, make sure you know the sequence. That's where you would want to have all of them. But beyond that, you can take out the ones that you know, the starting position, the choreography, the breath work, focus muscles, all of that. Take out the ones you know, leave in the ones that you don't know, and continue to quiz yourself until you've got them down pat. So self-quizzing is a really great way anytime you're doing any testing to make sure that you've got things on lock. You're not going to know who your practice body is or your exam body. At least nobody that I know has ever known. So in your green book, your support material, when you look through the different posture types, you're definitely going to, so I actually photocopied mine. So I have separate pages. I'm super visual, so I wanted to be able to lay them out in front of me and be comparing what's similar and then be looking like what's different and have a good grasp of what's programmed for what posture type and why. Because the client that you're going to get in your exam is going to be a complete curveball, total mystery. You don't know what you're going to get. So you need to be prepared to be able to program on the spot for that particular posture type, and then you give your statement of focus and move into it. So kind of backing up a moment, you meet your client, and after you meet them, you're going to go through your we'll call them your like welcome questions. So, you know, the questions that help you understand if they have any injuries, health concerns, what's their day-to-day look like. That tells you if they have overactive or underactive muscles that you can be addressing and you can call attention to when you give your statement of focus. And then have they done Pilates before? What's your occupation? What are your goals? And you know, yeah, what do you want out of this program? So that's 7 questions. It's on page 22 of your green support material, and you'll have no problem memorizing that. That's really, really easy. And then after you ask them those questions and you've introduced yourself, then you're going to move into your postural analysis. Watch the video. If you don't have a video from your school, there are many, and I'll reference some good ones to go to. So watch those videos several times and then practice over and over and over, right? So find people that are patient and don't mind standing there for an exuberant amount of time sometimes when you're first doing that. And repetition will be your friend for that. And then if you have the opportunity, my training studio had supervised teaching. And so we could go during designated times throughout the week and ask questions if we had questions while we were studying throughout our program. And that was really a good time to clear up anything and really to collaborate with your peers because they're on the same struggle bus as you are. I created a script for my postural analysis. And so going through that script really helped. I actually sat down and I recorded myself reading it. I also had like a little 3D printed model figurine that I went through, top to or bottom to top, side to side, front, back, and I went through my postural analysis with that. So I was able to get in the rhythm and practice of what verbiage I was using and what I was looking for. And that made it feel like second nature, because it wasn't like foreign words that I never use or things that I never say or talk about, because I've said it numerous times, and it became really pretty easy at that point. And after you've got your postural analysis done is when you're going to give your stated focus of the workout. So this is when those posture types, the flat back, sway back, kyphotic, lordotic, kyphosis, lordosis, that's when those come into play. So based on what you saw in that person, you are now going to be able to tie it all together and say, hey, Deborah, since you have a bit of rounded shoulders and you're sitting all day, we're going to work in imprint as much as possible. Honestly, I think if you make yourself scripts for this too, that would be really helpful. I'm a big fan of just writing things down and repeating them, and it just really helps solidify concepts. So you've given your stated focus of the workout, and then you're going to move into the biomechanical principles. I did not feel super great about this, because honestly, you are parroting like the bird, parroting. You are just repeating stuff. This isn't something you would organically do in a session with a client or in a class with a room full of people. You would not word vomit all of the biomechanical principles onto these individuals. You will pepper them in organically. But in your exam, you are expected to just, shoot them all out at once. So you should have gotten a sheet from your school that has a breakdown of all of them, and they have like a certain quantity of points for each one that they're expecting you to know. I don't have mine handy right in front of me. Let's see, bear with me. So you got your introduction to the STOTT PILATES principles, which is like a huge packet. And of course you have the breakdown in your book. Here we go. Okay, wah wah. I don't know what I did with it, which is weird, but you've got it, right? You've got it. It's like a one pager, front and back. It's got each principle, and there's like 8 things for breathing, and then like a handful for all the next ones. And you need to hit each of those points. So I made myself a script for that as well. Oh, hilarious. It was in front of me this whole time. All right, see, I highlighted, I wrote all over it. And yeah, you need to know the what, the why, and the how. So what's the purpose? How do you promote it? What's the principle? Why do we promote it? Yeah, it's just a mouthful. So you will feel like you're talking a lot. I made a script. Am I proud of my script? Did I like my script? No. So don't be like me. I'm going to redo this script because I have to take the exam again in July. So I'm going to sit down with this, and I basically found that it wasn't organic speak for me. That's what I needed. I need to redo this so it feels totally natural to fit it all in, and I'm able to also like remember and hit every single point. So then after your biomechanical principles, you're going to go into your mat work, which is so fun. I love mat work. And all right, again, you've been doing your physical review, you've been practice teaching this. And so like, how easy, right? You've just got to do 6 essential mat exercises, 3 intermediate mat exercises. And then the IT, the instructor trainer, they're going to hit you with a curveball, and they're going to say, hey, do this. Mine was teaser. And my exam body wasn't strong enough for full teaser, and she had me do full teaser. So then after, like we talked her through it, she did it, attempted, with the best to her ability. Then the instructor trainer was like, okay, so like, what would you do with her? And so then I talked about the preps. and I walked my exam body through the preps. So, you know, they want to see that, like, do you know modifications? Do you know the build-ups to certain exercises? Do you know what to program for certain conditions? Do you know what's eccentrically and concentrically moving? Do you know what's being isometrically held? So the more you're able to flaunt your knowledge, the better, right? Because they're probably gonna like pick at you less if you're moving through really confidently and you actually do know your stuff. So then moving beyond mat, then you're gonna get into reformer. And ideally, whatever exercises that you choose for mat and for reformer, you're supposed to flow through them quite nicely with like transitions into the next thing. Okay, and this. And so two things that I recall from my practical were, they noted, you know, it could have been more fluid. And I totally agree. And honestly, it is so hard because you are trying to say so much. You're saying more than you would in an organic, you know, one-on-one situation with a client. And they're also asking you questions. And I've heard some instructor trainers are a little more like in the background, just watching the whole thing happen than others. Some are more nitty gritty and they want to like poke and prod a little bit more. So I don't know. Moving on to reformer, you've got to do 6 essential exercises and then 4 intermediate exercises. And they're going to throw a curveball at you. And for mine, I want to say maybe it was short spine is what she asked me to do, which was no prob. No, it wasn't short spine. It was long spine that she asked me to do. And honestly, like the whole practical, my face was so flushed, my chest was so flushed. I just felt like so hot. And actually afterwards I had like what almost looked like a heat rash on my cheek, just one of them, not even both, you know, it was just one of them. And it lasted like an entire like 24 hours before it ended up going away. I was just so nervous. So the one she threw at me as a curveball, was long stretch or long spine. I was trying to open it up in my book to just, you don't care, but I wanted to verify that's what it was. It's not what it was. Never mind. Moving on. Okay. So make sure you know the starting position, make sure you know the breath and movement pattern, correct or reinforce them. You know, saying like, good job. I like that you're keeping your ribs knitted into your back body. I like that you're not allowing your pelvis to shift. You are keeping your spine in neutral. You're staying out of your traps and your shoulders are, you know, staying down away from your ears. So that was the second thing. The first thing was the lack of fluidity in my practical exam. And the second thing that they pointed out to me was I needed to be more vocal. Like my exam client was a former trainee, a fellow trainee, you know, so she knew the stuff. So she was doing things very well. And there were things that I was able to anticipate and give proactive communication of like, this is what I want to see. This is what I don't want to see. And so, make sure you're calling attention to what they're doing well. Just do that consistently. Make that a habit already when you're working with your practice clients. And someone recommended like make flashcards for every single exercise. I felt like that was a little crazy. And so maybe just do that for the exercises you feel insecure about. I ended up making like an Excel sheet. And so it's just like several pages where they're like chunked out and broke down. And that was really helpful because the act of organizing all of that information is like just a great practice in itself. So some notes that I had taken for myself in preparation of my practical exam were to create index cards for the postural analysis. I didn't create index cards. I just typed out like a whole script. It ended up being 4 pages long, 4 pages long. And then time yourself doing the postural analysis of various practice clients. Yep. Because you got to get it. You got to just move through it. You can't be lingering and hemming and hawing and, I don't know. Nope. You just move through with confidence, keep it rolling. State what you see. You're just stating the obvious, right? Like you're not, yeah, we're just showing that we know what bony landmarks to find and what conclusions to draw as a result of, what we're seeing. Recording yourself saying, so right, make your script, record yourself saying it. So twofold, right? You get to see how long it takes you to say it, because however long it takes you to say it should be the same amount of time that it takes you to do it. And then you can listen to it. So I had that on my phone, recorded on my phone, and as I was driving, like the coolest stimulation ever, I got to listen to myself say the postural analysis. And so again, just reinforcing. For the stated focus of workout, I had somewhere read or watched a video that said, start by saying you're going to move their spine in all directions. Flexion, extension, lateral flexion, rotation. Mermaid short box number 2 is hawk. That's great because it really gets the spine moving in a lot of directions, kind of checks a lot of boxes if you like that one. And if there's flat areas of the spine when they roll down during your postural analysis, say that you're going to work on spinal articulation. So like hip rolls, the roll up. Most people are slightly protracted, so you can use breaststroke prep number 2 for retraction. Arms pulling straps, strengthen the back, trapezius and rhomboids, lengthen the pec muscles in the front. We already touched on. Rewrite those biomechanical principles in a script for yourself to naturally say. I can't stress that enough. That's the part where I kind of feel like I fell a bit flat on my face in the exam. And I mean, they're not like bullies. Like I at one point like sat there and just kind of paused to go through in my brain. I knew I had missed one, not a principle, but like one of the like check boxes under the principle. And she let me take that moment of pause to, from the depths of my brain, grab that. So that was cool. Record yourself saying it. Record yourself saying your biomechanical principles script and listen to it over and over. It should be less than 10 minutes. And I didn't know, but that biomechanical principles script, you're doing it while you, like, that's your warm-up, right? Like you're not doing like the typical warm-up, but you're moving the exam client while you articulate all of those different points. Some people had a program like in mind for each of the postures. Take it for what you will. Do it, don't do it, whatever you think is going to work for you. I think bodies are so different, so I didn't want to get like too pigeonholed to this like one idea, and then if the body had this but not this and it didn't match perfectly, I didn't want to like freeze. So just know your stuff. Just really know your stuff. Use your support material to be able to go through those and know why you're doing the exercises, know why it's good for people. There's recommendation to record yourself teaching and watch it to reflect on it for improvements. I never did that. Probably would be very, very helpful. So that's all I have for your practical exam. Get your practice hours in, teaching, physically reviewing, make yourself some little cutouts if that's helpful for you, and rock it. You do have it. You're putting in the time, and don't, get too caught up in your head. I think another thing is you've got 6 months after you finish your training to be able to take your exam. And don't wait that full 6 months. That is a little bit crazy. Obviously, if life makes a circumstance where you have to wait that long to take it, okay, but be really proactive during your training to be teaching and practicing while you're in between weekends of training, so that you're reinforcing what's happening. And then you really should take your exam as close to finishing your training as possible, assuming that you're getting all your hours in, because I have seen some people who wait really long and do it like last minute, and they just feel so overwhelmed because it's been so long. And I don't think that like, none of them would say that served me. So I think the people who just, get into it, roll up their sleeves, and take their exam as soon as they're able to, I mean, as soon as they, have the guts to, I think those people are so happy that they did that path and they kind of got it off their plate and realized, like, oh, I do know my stuff. So thanks for watching. I hope it helped. And if you have questions, comment below.